what is going on with corporate wellness right now.
They've got to make a decision as to whether or not they invest in a very expensive weight loss drug. This is not a position that companies want to be in.
Is it all talk?
You can't really yoga mat yourself out of a toxic work environment. Roughly 8 out of 10 companies say they've got a wellness program. But oftentimes what that means is they've checked the box.
Please tell me this isn't the end of free massages at work.
Good to see you again. I have the results from your blood work.
Oh, awesome. I've been really looking forward to getting them because I think I made some really positive changes this year thanks to my company's wellness program.
Oh, really? What do they do?
Well, they have a great new snack bar. And if you push your way past the fruit, you can find some amazing chips. Then there's the monthly 100-meter walks.
Yes!
And the coolest part is we do 30 seconds of yoga breathwork every first Tuesday of each quarter.
Ah, well, that might actually explain your readings here.
What do you mean?
Well, your blood sugar is elevated, your vitamin D levels are way below the norm, and if your cholesterol goes any higher, it might actually make a decent SAT score. Not too great for a 40-something guy.
Oh, man. This is triggering my anxiety all over again. How do I fix this?
Well, we could start with a sleep study to see if you need a sleep apnea machine, a therapist for the anxiety, and I'd like to get you on Ozempic to bring that weight down.
Gosh, do you think my company's gonna pay for all that?
I don't know, but don't they call it a wellness program?
Hi, this is Jill Wiltfong, Chief Marketing Officer for Korn Ferry, and this is Briefings, our deep dive into leadership. You remember, right? The company yoga class, the free healthy snacks in the cafeteria. Oh yes, corporate well-being programs were once all the rage. But today there's a new phrase spreading around the internet, well-being washing. It seems some firms may no longer be walking their talk. One UK study found 1 in 3 people say their companies were guilty of hyping employee wellness without actually backing it up. As usual, there's a complicated story behind this. Companies and even employees themselves have discovered that truly trying to improve worker health involves tackling some high-ticket items like sleep, mental health, even obesity. But can they afford all of this? So today, let's look into where wellness stands right now and ask the question, how deep can the wellness well go? Today, we're joined by Dennis Deans, Korn Ferry's Vice President of Global HR. Given his ongoing dialogue across a range of high-level HR leaders, if anyone can speak to what's happening in the world of well-being, it's Dennis. Dennis, really great to have you on today.
Hey, Jill, thanks. Really glad to be on the show.
Dennis, just thinking about all of this is enough to give me a crick in my neck. Please tell me this isn't the end of free massages at work. Do tell us, what is going on with corporate wellness right now? What's the trend?
Companies are at a crossroads these days. And I think it's really important to recognize that what the employee is looking for and what the employer can afford could be two very different things. It's even further complicated by the fact that we're trying to figure out and balance our return to office strategy, which often adds additional complexities. What is relevant for an employee working from home is not necessarily that's relevant or needed for an employee that's in the office. So being able to balance those two with the anticipated return is critically important.
As we said before, true wellness can mean a lot of things to different people. For example, employees today are asking firms to cover a weight loss drug that can cost up to $18,000 a year per person. Similarly, we know sleep is very important for long-term wellness, but sleep apnea machines are a $6 billion market. Do you think, Dennis, companies should be expected to provide services at that kind of level?
If it's a matter of a company being in a position where they've got to make a decision as to whether or not they invest in a very expensive weight loss drug or they put resources and investment towards another well-being program, I mean, this is not a position that companies want to be in. So having that and making that informed decision and being able to use the feedback from our employees to make this decision is going to be critically important.
We're sick and tired of talking to TV screens and doing things virtually. We want to be together with our friends, with people we like, doing things that are mentally healthy as well as physically healthy. I don't believe it can be done through a smartphone alone. I think we need to be physically present with one another to enjoy one another and be mentally and physically healthier.
That's Ron Getzel, a senior scientist and director of the Institute for Health and Productivity Studies at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. He's speaking about the impact of hybrid work schedules on wellness. Dennis, tell us what you're hearing. Has it become even more challenging, or has increased flexibility actually helped with worker well-being?
Yes, it's actually yes to both. On the flexibility front, virtual and hybrid colleagues have, for the most part, figured out that they can be effective and productive employees while at home. On the flip side of that, as I mentioned, it can be difficult to assess the needs of these employees without the right feedback channel. Feeling disconnected and out of touch are common in these environments, and couple this with concerns over career advancement, you run the risk of a disengaged employee.
Dennis, thank you for coming on and for joining us. As we say, there is no easy answer. It's a very important topic, and I'm sure the debate will linger on for some time to come.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And you're right. If it were easy, we probably wouldn't be talking about it.
After the break, you heard him in our last clip, but now we'll be speaking face-to-face with Ron Getzel, the legendary thought leader in workplace wellness. We'll hear what companies can do to promote well-being without breaking the bank. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Rupak Bhattacharya, and welcome to The Break. Here's a quick look at what else is happening in business from Korn Ferry's This Week in Leadership.
We're seeing some landmark merger activity. M&A volume is up.
As leaders struggle to create organic growth, they're turning to an old strategy, buying it. In total, deal activity in the U.S. is up 130% through February to $288 billion. With the exception of last year's fourth quarter, it's the most activity in the first 2 months of any quarter since the start of 2022.
What it takes to be a woman who leads.
A new Korn Ferry analysis shows 7 out of 10 women say they are engaged and enabled by their firms, which is the same percentage as men. But when it comes to how firms enable them to reach their goals, only 63% of women say their companies are doing a good job recruiting and developing them for leadership roles.
A growing number of companies are offering a 4-day, 32-hour week, but with 5 days of pay.
Back in 2022, 61 British companies began a 6-month-long experiment with a 4-day work week with positive results. 9 out of 10 companies continued with the practice, with workers having a better sense of well-being and half the companies claiming lower quit rates. Some leaders, however, question how this will affect innovation within firms. For more insights on business and leadership, head to kornferry.com/insights. Now back to Jill and our episode, How Deep Can the Wellness Well Go?
Really important in this pose that you arch your back and keep it flat at the same time.
I feel like those are opposing ideas.
No, they're not, because you're arching your back up while it's flat. Okay? It's good. Yes, sweat it out. Sweat out all the toxins from this morning.
With us now is Ron Getzel, a senior scientist and director of the Institute for Health and Productivity Studies at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Ron, it is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, Jill, it's a pleasure being here. Thanks for the invitation.
That last clip was a comedic yoga scene from the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Ron, earlier we talked about some of the trending but cost-intensive aspects of well-being support, such as weight loss drugs and sleep apnea machines. But are there other things firms can do on the wellness front, like yoga, that don't have such a hefty price tag?
Well, the short answer is you can't really yoga mat yourself out of a toxic work environment. Employers who think that if they just give people certain perks, yoga mats or subscriptions to fitness centers, that'll solve their problem. But if you think about it, think about your job. Let's say you're working long hours. You have your boss yelling at you. You've got deadlines that are unreasonable. People around you don't like working there, and that kind of spills over to you. You're exposed to too much heat, too much cold, too much noise, COVID, toxic fumes, you name it. And so saying, well, we've got a program here, we've got yoga over here, we've got a climbing wall there, isn't really going to solve that larger problem, which is a toxic work environment.
I know you've got some stock performance data on wellness and how important that is. Is it all talk, or are there true numbers behind the importance of not fostering toxic workplaces?
So there have been about a half a dozen studies that have been conducted looking at the performance of companies that have best practice health and well-being programs and their stock performance over many years. One of these studies that we authored in the Journal of Occupational Environmental Medicine focused on winners of the C. Everett Koop Award. Now, the C. Everett Koop Award is one that's been around for 30 years. It's given to organizations that can document with clear data that their programs have improved population health, their employee health and well-being, but also have had positive business results measured in a variety of ways, from medical costs, absenteeism, workers' comp, employee reputation, employer reputation. And we looked at companies that won it over about a decade or so, and looked at their stock performance versus the S&P 500, Standard & Poor's 500. And what we found was that even a small portfolio of companies that won the award, publicly traded, outperformed the S&P 500 by a ratio of 3-1.
That's unbelievable results, and really good news, I think, for workers and for communities, right? To know that you've got real proof that this stuff can work. Over 1 in 3 employees, despite that, do accuse companies of kind of this well-being washing. Do you think that's because companies are trying to save money and looking to cut corners? Do you just think maybe people don't yet understand the value of well-being programs? What do you think is at the heart of that?
Well, if you look at the data, and these are national surveys, roughly 8 out of 10 companies say they've got a wellness program. But oftentimes what that means is they've checked the box. Really what's important in the success of these programs is building and sustaining a culture of health and well-being. So you kind of know when you walk in the door that this is an organization that really cares about me as a human being, as a contributor to this organization, and leadership that supports that. So it's not just I say it in meetings, but I actually have a budget. I've got resources.
Do you think more and more employees are really looking for well-being, places that are more balanced, or do you think it's just a moment in time? Do you see this being really a lasting, important issue that employees are going to be looking for?
I think it is, and actually much more so with younger generations of employees. There are some surveys done just in the last year or so by Gallup where they asked the Gen Zs and the younger millennial and Gen Xs, and I don't even know all the various categories, but younger employees looking for jobs. What is it that you want in your job? And number one, of course, was pay, benefits, and things like that, of course. Number two was an employer that cares about my health and well-being, that provides me those services, those resources, and also there's a work-life balance.
Ron, thank you so much for the inspiring chat. Thank you for coming on. I think we're going to have pizza to celebrate all this great conversation.
Also salad.
I appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Take care, Jill.
The executive producer of Briefings is Jonathan Dahl. Today's episode was produced by Rupak Bhattacharya, Nadira Putri, and Teresa Allen, and it was edited by Jaron Henry McRae. It contains reporting by Russell Perlman, Ariane Cohen, and Peter Loria. Our video segment contains original artwork by Fraser Milton, Haley Kennel, Jonathan Pink, and Sasha Kotschik. Don't forget to read our magazine, available at newsstands and at kornferry.com/briefings. That's it for Korn Ferry Briefings. I'm Jill Wiltfong. See you next time. If only the digital comm strategy were that simple, we'd be good.
God. Yeah, get in line, right?